the energy, the drive. She is focused. You've got to keep such an incredible mind focus to push yourself on, tightening up a little bit to the line, but this could be the fastest time. Well done, Becky Scott.
Well, the advantage of being quick is the fact that you get seeded, and because you get seeded, you get weaker opposition. Emily Erstig, she won the world title 12 months ago in classic style in Oberstdorf, and Erstig, who's not been in the best form. We know that she doesn't have the race pace because of the flu and sickness in December, but nonetheless, Coach Bratton has given her a chance. The Japanese, Madoka Natsumi, they had storming 2 legs in the relay.
Respectable, absolutely respectable, and she's looking confident, and that relaxed smile, it can release energy and self-belief, and that's what you need for this all-out sprinting.
And here's Fukuda, who, like Natsumi, her teammate, has had 4 top 30 finishes in the World Cup sprints, and there's not much between the two of them.
23rd, will she hang on in there?
Very encouraging. Remember, the Japanese will host the Nordic Worlds last year, and here comes the champion, Julia Chapalova. And 4.4 puts her into 19th place.
I think she'll be disappointed with that, David. She would have hoped to be in the top 10 just to give her some psychological advantage into the heats later.
Emily Wiener for France, and this is, I'm afraid, a bit of a slow tide. And only 30 required, and she's vulnerable there.
That's tough. 9.9 seconds, 29th position.
Already Perrier. Here's a good sprinter, Magda Genuine of Italy. She competed in the Olympics 4 years ago, finished a respectable 22nd, but she's stronger, fitter, wiser, and she could squeeze. Well, just looking at this, where's she going to go?
It's good. That is good. 16th, only, well, less than 4 seconds now, the top 16. It is that tight. You cannot afford one error. You have to keep pushing every millimetre of the course.
So I can tell you that Emily Wiener is now out, and Kowalczyk is the next vulnerable because she's in 30th place. So 8 seconds off the pace, 7 seconds off the pace, and you're not going to qualify.
Good chance to see the final 250 metres. Wendy Wagner keeping the tempo. She's looking forward, desperately trying to keep her technique together. And when your legs are burning, they're absolutely, you almost lose feeling when you're pushing at intensities like this. But she has to keep that focus. Trying to glide down her left ski just a little bit further. Losing her balance, that's the legs giving way.
And also just to mention that Nicole Fessel, another junior world sprint champion for Germany, currently in 27th place. And that's good from, well, Wendy's gone into 30th, but will she hold on? It's going to be very nip and tuck from now on. Bottomley from Australia, just outside, and Barbara Morigol of Italy, 29th, despite the effort there.
It's interesting, a new line into the finish, deciding that it's faster on that non-skied on snow for 37.
Hitamaki, but that's 33rd place, I'm afraid. And that's a disappointment for Elena Hitamaki, because she was as good as 14th in the Olympics 4 years ago. I think the big difference here, Mike, was that here 30 women could qualify. 4 years ago it was only 16. Now they've expanded the whole format here, and the 30 are going to be divided into 5 semi-finals of 6, with the first 2 going, 5 quarterfinals of 6, with the best 2 from each quarterfinal going through the semi-final.
I think that's a much better method. It almost seemed unfair in the previous years when only 16 from the world's field could qualify for the heats.
Just missing out there, Manima. So as they come home, Becky Scott, the fastest qualifier in 2:12.45, ahead of Follis of Italy. That's a good run by her. And ski preparation this morning, Mike, it is easier, obviously, than preparing classic skis, but your thoughts?
It is indeed. Well, you need a base wax, -5 here, and this new fallen snow, so middle structure, so not overly aggressive to run off the fluid that builds up underneath the ski, and a base wax, a paraffin base wax to suit the temperature. Many different companies have these waxes. And
I just want to break in there. That's a terrific run by Lopatina of Belarus, 2:16.36. She's in 15th place, and that actually gives her a chance. She was 24th in Salt Lake City, and I think that'll be good enough to qualify.
Very respectable, 3.191 for Lopatina.
That is just faster than Marit Bjørgen. I apologise for interrupting.
Not a problem, Andy. Yes, the top wax, which all of the technicians have been putting them on, it's a powder, and you really have to put the iron to a very hot temperature. It's a fluorocarbon, and that really has very, very low friction qualities. So that's what everyone is using today.
And that should be Kicken Randall, who's across, and that's a brilliant time. Kicken Randall into 10th fastest place, and this is a woman who's been focusing on her sprinting. She was only 44th in Salt Lake City, so a huge improvement by the American.
Vasilnyok. This looks a determined effort as well. She's certainly covering a lot of glide distance on each stroke. Look at the upper body weight really pushing down, trying to get to that line just a millisecond faster. Might make it. Good one, 19th.
Yeah, Vasilnyok, who was in the World Championships in Classic last year, but outside the top 30. Lindsay Williams now for the USA, still at the top right there. You can see the best ever time so far this morning. Becky Scott, 2:12.45. And I can tell you that Marit Bjørgen at the moment is down in 17th place. Now, last year, 17th place because they had the old system of only 16 qualifying. That's where she was caught out. Today, she's going to be fine, but only just. And there's another good time from Tenenteva. Just having a look at that. Got a very sensitive computer here in front of us. Terenteva, 36th place, in fact, at the end, so that just misses out, but Crane, Marina Malets, 13th in the Classic Sprint last year for the Ukraine. That was in Oberstdorf. Still Becky Scott at the top of affairs, and we'll give you a full rundown, and just to remind you that the men's qualification will follow. And if you think this is hot, that's going to be really hot. And look how tight, 42nd place, 8.3 seconds. '30th place at the moment is held by Steffi Böhler, the 2000 Junior World Sprint Champion in 2:18.14. So that is still a little bit vulnerable. She must be clinging on by her fingernails at the moment, Mike.
And that's 5.69 seconds behind. She's going to survive this one. Look at the separation. There's only about 6 meters separating the top 30, 5.5, 6 meters. Very tight. The fact you cannot make any errors. You need to be balanced. As Amanda Amar comes in, no, I don't think she's going to make it. She'll be so disappointed.
Well, one disappointing woman is certainly going to be Nicole Fessel of Germany, Junior World Sprint Champion in 2003 in Sollefteå in Sweden, and she is 31st and out. It's Steffi Böhler at the moment in 30th place, who won the Junior Worlds in 2000, who is the woman who's literally in jeopardy at the moment. Isashenko for Kazakhstan.
She's taking the wider line round, David, because the athlete in front, number 58, road blocking her, and I think a little slower. Yep, 8.7 seconds. Sadly, she's not making it 43rd position.
Not too many to come home now. Should be Kalim Aydin of Turkey, 80 nations. Here she is. Really good effort 4 years ago in Salt Lake City. She was 56th, but let's just see how close she can get. You can see she's found this even tougher. But nonetheless, these are the developing nations, and it's good to see cross-country skiing putting in the effort for the developing nations. China would also be in that bracket.
I would like to see some British skiers here in the future. I think we will be. Who knows, maybe Vancouver, because this is a race where, as you say, developing nations. There's Turkey doing well and technically managing to hold it over these short distances. I really do hope we can in the future bring some from many different nations into these sprint races.
So Steffi Böhler, she must be absolutely unable to look at this. Vita Yakimchuk coming through. Yakimchuk, 65, the penultimate starter, and then Starostina of Kazakhstan, and the all-important time is 2:18, and she's outside. Böhler survives.
I think Böhler was lucky there that she had to take the long way round, because that half a second difference would have possibly put her top 30.
And here's the last of the starters, and already past the time of Steffi Böhler. So I can tell you that by the skin of her teeth, the junior world champion of 2000 has survived. So the 30 qualifiers, and we'll give you a full rundown now. The fastest of the qualifiers, 45, Ariana Follis of Italy, 2:12.90, should be up on your screen any moment now. The best for Sweden, Lena Andersson, 2:13.29. Here's a picture of Becky coming home. Claudia Kunzel for Germany, the best for her country, 2:13.64. That's about 1.19 behind Becky Scott. Sidko of Russia, Maric of Slovenia, Koitinen of Finland, Crawford of Canada, so that's 2 Canadians in the top 10. Make it 3 in the top 12 with Sarah Renner in 11th place. And then Kika Randall for the United States, excellent. Saarinen for Finland, Dahlberg for Sweden, Jumle, who was a World Cup winner this season for Norway, she's through. So Henkel, Natsumi for Japan, Lopatina for Belarus, excellent. Björgen, 3.93 off the pace. Then Genuine for Italy, and then Britta Norgren for Sweden, underlining her excellent form at the moment. And you can see down here, Erstig, the classic champion of the world 12 months ago, ahead of the Olympic champion 4 years ago, Chapalova. Hilda Pedersen is in the fight, along with Kati Venäläinen, who won a silver in 2001. Matveeva for Russia, ahead of Laurence Rocha for Switzerland. Prochaskova, she's through with Fukuda of Japan, so 2 Japanese qualifiers. Vasilionok for Belarus, gives Belarus 2 in, and Steffi Böhler survives. But Nicole Fessel for Germany doesn't, and neither does Serena Michel or any of these young women who now must watch and wait and see with us as to who will ultimately become the second Olympic sprint champion here in 2006 on a morning, Mike, where there's virtually no wind.
Virtually no wind, and that does make the tactics. I thought the big home straight, the 250 meters up to the finish line, I thought that we will see it tactical, of course, in the heats, but with there being no wind, it does allow someone to take on the brave move and try and break with the 250 meters, basically from the bridge up to the finish line. And we will be following these heats all the way around the course, so a great chance to see all of the course.
Be divided into 5 quarterfinals, and out of those quarterfinals there'll be 6 runners in each quarterfinal, and the fastest 2 will go through to the semi-finals. So there'll be 2 semi-finals, each of 5 races, and out of the semi-finals there'll be the fastest 2 into the major final, which means there'll be 4 women ultimately running for 3 medals.
The difficulty, David, when you've got six athletes side by side hurtling down this track, there's 1, 2, there's 3 very tight corners, so we are going to see a lot of tangling, a lot of, well, I was going to say pushing, but obviously that's not allowed, but it's going to be extremely tight racing in order to get through to the top 2 positions.
Well, before we get to that, it's the men's qualification after this.
There is nothing more glamorous in sport than the competition for Olympic gold in figure skating. And with names like Irina Slutskaya, Sasha Cohen of the USA, and Italy's own Karolina Kostner, this event is definitely one to watch. Olympic figure skating in the women's free program tomorrow at 1900, live on Eurosport.
Sharing the passion. Panasonic, ideas for life.
Well, welcome back to Progelato. Really good atmosphere on this early morning. And remember, all of the cross-country races now, right until the end of the Olympic Games, are all in freestyle skate. Mike Dixon, together with myself, David Goldstrom, and you can see just below us, Mike, all these fans really getting into this.
Yeah, they love the sprint races. It's excitement. What you see is what you get, and especially I think when the heats, as I say, when you line 6 people up, and that the qualification dictates that. When you line 6 people side by side, it's tactical racing.
Now this is pretty tricky, Mike, because again, only 30 men and 80 are aspiring to get through to the quarter-final stage, and this is running your own race. Here's, by the way, qualification confirmation by the women, 2:12.45. Interesting time there, not much quicker than the Classic.
Well, that's right. Sometimes when the Classic, it's icier tracks, you can pick up a very good speed in the Classic techniques, mainly using the double poling.
Yeah, Sarah Renner, there's a direct comparison. 2:15.37 freestyle, 2:13.9 in the Team Classic Sprint.
Incredible. This new snow can make the difference. As I say, the Classic tracks get glazed, and that you're really sliding on ice, whereas this new powder snow is quite grippy, it's quite aggressive on the base of the skis. So that's probably why of course, freestyle skiing is faster, but it's the conditions really that are playing against the speed today.
And Marit Bjørgen down in 17th place. Now there's obviously, Mike, there's been a lot of chatter in the Norwegian press.
There has been a lot of, and as expected, when they set themselves up for so many medals, and sadly they haven't been forthcoming. They're still, in my opinion, they're still successful, but if you're Norwegian and you're not winning gold medals all the time, you ask questions. So I think the coach is under a certain amount of pressure.
Yes, I just hope they keep it in perspective, because Norway have been so successful over so many years. Yes, this is a huge shock to the system. But having said that, you know, I think one has to remember that every nation, no matter what sport, has that moment where suddenly there's that unexpected dip, and you just have to work your way through it. And they've had so many seasons of success, I'm sure they're going to come back from this. This is the sprint track. It's the same, essentially, Mike, as the women's, just a bit longer.
Just climbing up this hill, here we are, we can see where the men are turning round. And this is really the only steep climb in the whole course. And when we get them side by side, 6 athletes later in the qualifications, this corner is going to be such an important part of the race. You need to be placed top 2, top 3, if you want to get back all the way back round into the stadium, and qualifying the top 2 to get through to the next stage. So it really is a sequence of giving your best performance on 4 or 5 occasions this morning. You have to be up to give everything each time.
These cross-country tracks and trails that we've seen so far, Mike, I think they've been really successful, haven't they?
They certainly have been successful, and we've seen in the longer distance races the incredibly steep climbs over, what, 700 meters, and that's a test to anyone. I have heard they're quite simple tracks, but great for the audience. You know, you need to see the skiers passing you many times, and I like that, and the audience likes that.
Toani Hetland, the Olympic champion from 4 years ago, and just a master of sprinting. You just look at his record, Hetland, it is amazing. He was the first world sprint champion in 2001, then he took the Olympic title. He was third in 2003 on Italian snow at Val di Fiemme, second last year in Classic, and he's second in the sprint rankings. And what about this man?
Look at the mind games. We saw Toani Hetland, nothing shown on his face. The same with Christian Zorzi. You've got to be so focused to bring the best out of yourself. And here's Bjorn Lind again. That steely look, that determined focus on each of their faces.
Well, Hetland may be the champion of champions in the sprint championships, but Lind is the master of the moment. Rutschev, the individual world champion last year in Classic, and you might think that that means he wouldn't have a chance, but if you go back to 2003, he was as good as 7th in the freestyle. He's a powerful man.
He is a very powerful man, Rutschev, and he was so disappointed to finish in 4th position, just getting knocked out of the medals by Toby Angerer. And there, look at the raised binding here now. That really does allow a slightly extended kick, if you like, more energy into the skier. That's the way of thinking. A lot of athletes don't like it because you're raised up off the ground on even a finer point of balance. Because these skis are thin, they're narrow, and you really have to have exceptional balance qualities to speed around these tracks.
And this is just what makes cross-country skiing so wonderful. There's a wonderful camaraderie. A lot of these fans are lifelong friends, or they're people who at the championships get together again for the first time in a year or 2 years, renewing acquaintances, going out for a little pizza or pasta, and that's part of the wonderful thing about this cross-country circuit, as it is in most of our Nordic and Alpine sports.
It is indeed. I was down there for the 4x10, and the spirit along here, along the trackside, everyone's sharing, everyone's supporting everyone else really, and so many people dressed up for the occasion. It's really like a miniature festival of sport. It's brilliant.
And I'm really glad that the organisers have seen the sense to get these spectators out on the track there for as little as €10. That is common sense. So it's Thunder, otherwise known as Torin Kuss, who's going to get us away. He's the first to go from the United States, this 25-year-old specialist sprinter, 1.85 m tall, 80 kilos of power. He's had 3 top 15 results in the World Cup this season, but he was really disappointed 4 years ago, only 36th in the Olympics. Now he's determined to be one of the top 30.
Michael Østberg, we know he can sprint. He believes that he can sprint and sprint well. His brother's also in the team, and it's about this focus from the gun to the line. Look at this. He really does throw his weight. Look, he's on his raised bindings there, drops his weight, springs onto those skis. Can he keep that pace going?
Björn Lind, the master skier, the #1 skier in the world at the moment, and Björn Lind already with a gold medal from the Team Classic Sprint, that achieved with partner Toby Fredriksson, who starts shortly.
There we are, down out of the stadium, and Østberg still maintaining an incredible pace. Tight corner, you have to really cut these race lines as tight as you can. I like the way he's done that. He's kept low, powering out from his left leg. Now up the gentle climb, which gets steeper and steeper, goes up this hill further.
And Mike, in this time trial, how do you know how fast to go, or is it literally just flat out?
You have got to go flat out, David. You cannot risk holding anything back, or you might not. We're looking at 5 or 6 seconds in between the top 30. If you back off in any way, you will not make the top 30, so it's absolutely flat out.
For Japan, Yuichi Onda, who's nicknamed himself the La Bomba, slightly cheekily, I thought. He's on his way.
Look at this now, the top part. Later on, there's going to be tangling of athletes. Now, the only tiny little bit of recovery is then, we've just gone out of shot now, but the next 15 seconds, that's the only recovery in the whole course.
Vasily Rodchev, who's had a couple of podium thirds. He already has a bronze medal from the Team Classic Sprint. Little disappointed with that, I have to say, and mightily disappointed to miss out on the medals in the 15-kilometre classic. I just can see his face even now, finishing in 4th place.
Absolutely, you could feel the disappointment. His father's an ex-champion, well, silver medal and gold medal in the relay at the 1980 Olympics, and he wanted to emulate that. He wants gold medals, he wants Olympic medals.
And here's Ersberg coming through. Koos already across the line in 2:21.47. You can see that time, and look at Michael Ersberg and look at the difference in time. So that doesn't look terribly promising for Koos. It's not definitive at the moment. And now Björn Lind, this will give us a guide. Remember, Ersberg is teammate in 2:16, and Björn Lind considerably faster there, 2.7. It might not look a lot, but it is a lot. Now here's Hetland.
The wide arm spread that we're so used to. This man has got a great mind for sprinting.
And Zorro, well, what a day for Italy, winning that gold medal on the relay. President Ciampi on the phone to Pietro Pilacoccia, who skied that crucial 3rd leg, to give his personal congratulations to the Fab Four.
Yeah, they really were. It was all over the papers and all the news channels when they took that relay gold.
And here comes the man who says, I'm from Vermont and I'll do what I want. Andrew Newell.
Well, he's got spirit, he's got character, and he's got belief. 1.2, that should, behind Lind, that should certainly keep him in the top, well, I think the top 15. That's a good performance.
Yeah, that's a man who, for pleasure, goes skiing the half-pipe with cross-country skis, believe it or not.
Well, he's from Vermont and he can
do what he wants. Passini, that's not bad for Italy. And Koos at the moment being dropped down the order. He's down to 7th at the moment. He's the slowest of the finishes. Here comes the Russian rocket, Rutchev.
This is good, David. This is really good. He might, 2.6. So he can do it in the classic, and he's putting it together in the skating.
Frashnelli, who was just off the podium in Davos, the last sprint before we came to the Winter Olympic Games. He's just outside the top 15 in the world of sprinting, and that's okay. So this is going to be hugely tight here. And there, Toby Fredriksson, world sprint champion in 2003, and classic team sprint gold medalist here already. Kosherboy, that's getting a little worrying.
5.3 is, I think, about as much as you can risk in the men's. Well, top 30 separated by 5 seconds. There's absolutely nothing in it.
We should get a picture of Zorro pretty soon. Here we go. And this is a man who took a silver medal behind Hetland in 2001, a bronze in the Olympics in Salt Lake City 4 years ago behind Hetland. And no matter what happens today with Zorro, everything's a bonus after that relay gold, Mike.
Well, it is. I think he's lost his aura, if you like, a little bit in the sprinting. He was the big name in sprinting, and he needs to. He's absolutely putting it together well today, but he has lost that aura of invincibility. People know he can be beaten.
But nonetheless, it wouldn't be a sprint without Zorro. This should be Kozicek, who anchored the Czechs in the relay team. He's not a bad sprinter. He was in the top 10 in Novo Mesto. 6.1, it's going to be on the edge.
That's risky, absolutely risky, and you've got to have your equipment right. If your skis aren't gliding as fast as another athlete's beside you, you are in trouble by 2 seconds, 3 seconds.
Harald Wurm for Austria, who of course, apart from their great success, have been plagued by the doping stories, and it was interesting to see the number of Austrian athletes, particularly from the other divisions of sport, who've been distancing themselves from Walter Meyer, the man at the heart of all the problems. Ola Viggen Haderstad of Norway, and Roddy Darrigan now. That's good for the Frenchman. Very respectable. He can be, I think he can rest comfortably. The 3.2 is enough to certainly remain safe. Trond Iversen, look at the size of this man. He is absolutely huge, and that might be a problem for him later. He's going to qualify with that time, and when he's tightly packed with 6 or 5 athletes left and right of him, being that tall, that size, it does restrict you. Yeah, he's 194.90, and I've seen him put it about. And Toby Fredriksson, whoa! He came up the unskied on track. I'm very surprised that he did that. This is, or should be, Alyapov for Russia. Alyapov, whose sprinting hasn't been that special. And again, 6.6 is still on the margins. Now, Peter Larsen, whiskey-loving Peter Larsen, the man who dominates Dusseldorf, which is, without disrespect, just about the easiest of the tracks. But this was the man who got disqualified 4 years ago for going for a gap that didn't exist.
Pushing his way through, not allowed.
Eigerman for Switzerland.
Yeah, Eigerman, well, Kolstad we're just looking at now. And he's a young, powerful, and you see the age in the sprinting is much lower than we're seeing in the rest of the medal competitions here.
Kolstad, the fourth best sprinter of the World Cup season, coming in, and that's why 1.5, he's right there. And the faster you are, the more chance you have of getting a seeding position.
Vikinen looking good. He's look at how straight he's placing his ski up the track, but is it going to be enough? 18th, 19th, 20th at the moment. Could be dodgy to stay top 30.
Krejlok for Pola, who is very much a specialist sprinter. Now, this man was 9th 4 years ago in the Olympics.
On the limit, 6.5 to remain top 30, and that's what everybody here is wanting to do. This effort they're putting in now is just to get them in that top 30 to go through to the next rounds.
Yes, but you want to be higher than 20. Kotila, 6.4, and he's gone into 20. He's got into 19th place, but even that's not safe. Freddie Schreenbacher, who for me has been very disappointing at these games. He is a good sprinter at his best, as good as 5th in the last Olympics, 6th in the 2003 Worlds.
Doesn't come much better than that, so he should be confidently placed there. Schreenbacher, 16th at the moment.
Yeah, he hasn't looked the athlete of 3 and 4 years ago, though.
Stockinger, 6.6 behind.
Kretschmer on his way for Poland, and again, these two Polish men from the Katowice Ski Club. That's a little disappointing as well, 7.3 and 27th place. These men are so vulnerable. Remember, we're not through the top 30 yet, Mike, and there were 80 on the start list, so there are lots of people. And here's Lefteris Papalis, who's got 1 World Cup point in the sprinting from Greece, which underlines, as you say, Mike, that why can't Great Britain find themselves a couple of sprinters?
Absolutely, this proves it. There we are, you're from Greece, and he really is doing well. That is absolutely brilliant. 26th. Not sure that that's going to remain for him to get into the heats, but that's really great respect there. That is fantastic skiing.
Peter Kummel, I'm quite interested to keep an eye on Devon Corshaw for Canada, who should be coming home because he skied an absolutely dynamite first leg for Canada, and in fact he has come home in 31st place. Maybe it's still in his legs, I don't know, but he led the first 10,000 meters of the relay for Canada and the whole field. So in 30th place at the moment is Torin Kuss, the man who started the whole of the men's qualification. And here comes Goldsack for Canada, and Goldsack has pushed Torin Kuss out.
Doesn't look overly confident that is going to remain in the top 30.
Kukal on his day, one of the best, and 5.8. That might be good enough, but he's only 19th, and there are a lot of men to come. It's not inconceivable that we could have 11 faster finishers.
Some big names, as you say, further down the list. There's still Novikov to start, number 51.
Vidma, not a bad effort there, but outside the top 30.
He knows that wasn't enough. He gave his best, but sadly not enough to take him through.
So Björn Lind, the world #1, sending a message to everybody in this time trial qualification, 2:13. That's what you got to do, and I guess he's also saying, Mike, I've got a little bit up my sleeve as well.
Yeah, I think so. He did put a lot out there. We saw his tempo, we saw his reach, and it's a fast time, a very fast time indeed. Björn Lind still standing at the top. I'm not sure that anyone's going to beat that of the remaining athletes still to start, but many can still make the top the top 30. Only 6 seconds, in fact 7.09 separating the top 30.
Chris Cook, and that's brilliant.
Good effort, that is.
That is really good for Chris Cook from the USA. So a little bit more encouraging. And he's got into 16th place, which means that it's Drew Goldsack at the moment of Canada in a time of 2:20.62. That's top left of your screen there. That's the vulnerable time at the moment, and it belongs to Drew Goldsack. And I can tell you that both Kretschmer and Chibotko of Poland and Kazakhstan are out. And Chibotko's also looked a shadow of himself here. He was left out of the Kazakh relay team.
Oh, not quite enough there from the Ukrainian. That's a pity. He's disappointed. He wanted desperately to qualify. And once you qualify, tactics come into play. You've got more of a chance when you get through to the next round.
This is not bad from Sean Crooks. Oh, inside 7 seconds, he had a chance. What a pity.
Oh, he's gutted. He is absolutely destroyed. He was believing he could make this. At the moment, no. Oh, he's so disappointed.
And there's the here you can see this hill descent, and this is the tricky little right-hander, and now this climb up into the stadium. This just gives you an idea, and it seems to go on for eternity, doesn't it, Mike?
It does, when you're stretched to your limit. So you're at this moment in time, your legs are absolutely screaming, your arms, they feel like lead, they're heavy, and you have to maintain focus, forward focus and technique, bringing your leg balanced underneath you to absorb the energy, to carry the glide through. Easy to talk about, difficult to do. These intensities. And this final 100 meters, it's still climbing all the way up to this line. 9.4, not good enough.
Well, still Fafalis of Greece in 28th place, which would be wonderful if he could qualify for the quarterfinals. Sami Yayavi. And that's a really disappointing run. He's not a specialist sprinter. It's not really his distance. But to be 14 seconds down, there's something seriously wrong there. Novikov.
Well, I had expected Novikov to do it, but he has to really keep this to the line. It's not looking too... Yes, it is. 25th, 6.7 behind.
And you know what that means? That Goldsack is out, and Fafalis is only 29th now. And the man who's in greatest danger is Christoph Eigenmann of Switzerland, who's 30th at the moment. And Eigenmann's time 2:20.46, so 6.93 now is the differential. You have to be inside that.
It is so close.
These men will just look back and just think how close they got, but one chance, Mike. This is how cruel this is. One chance to get in the top 30, and how many weeks and months of years of training have gone into this?
So much focus, sprinting, weight training, power work. You've got to put it all together. Tag Shearer, the biathlete, disappointed. It's good skiing. 9.1 seconds is very respectable. I think further down the field, David, Shane Yang, number 78, the Chinese biathlete, I think he's got a chance of making the top 30.
This will be interesting. Lasutkin for Belarus. We've seen a couple of their women go really well earlier on this morning, and I think that this man might just have a squeak here. It was a really good relay effort from Lasutkin. Now let's see whether... Oh, look at him really working. He's going to miss out.
Miss out.
Yeah, that's a pity.
But you never know with equipment. I mean, Belarus, they don't have the waxing staff. Norwegians have 8 waxing technicians to work on their 4 athlete skis. If you don't have backup like that, you don't cover so many or all of your options, you are disadvantaged. And I think that's where Belarus maybe are slightly disadvantaged.
The other interesting thing takes me back to the World Championships of 2003. I remember that the Swedes actually found a piece of replica terrain and they were training on it, and Toby Fredrickson knew exactly what he was facing when he went to Val di Fiemme to go on to win the world title. Now, a lot of teams have done exactly that, and have gone and found steep hills with the same characteristics so that they can train in the same or similar circumstance.
Do you know, and I think that it's certainly, if I was coaching a team, I would try to replicate this. If you can't replicate the whole of the rest of the course, then certainly this final 250 meters, it's pushing your body so hard to, I'd say, a minute 35 and still maintain this climb up to the finish. This is the vital few meters where the race is going to be won. The Olympic gold will be won.
The other thing they do in training is to put their men and women into head-to-head duels, so that when you're racing up a steep incline or coming into the finish, you've actually tasted the feeling of actually being shoulder to shoulder.
Absolutely, it's like group cycling. It's petrifying if you're not used to it, and you need to spend many hours doing that to feel comfortable. It's the same with the sprint racing. When you're tightly packed, you have to have so much awareness of where other athletes' ski poles are planted, the length of the skis. Skis are almost 2 meters in length.
So, by the way, those of you back with us on British Eurosport, if any of you watching this morning feel like having a crack at cross-country ski sprinting, why don't you send Mike Dixon a little note on Eurosport's forum. Tell us who you are, where you come from, how we can reach you, what age you are, and we might well get back in touch with you. That's not a promise, but if you think that you have the ability to train, and it means really training, real dedication, then we'd love to hear from you.
I know of two very, very good young Scottish sprinters. Andrew Young, he's only 13. He is absolutely brilliant. And Alistair Duncan from the Cairngorm Biathlon and Nordic Ski Club. Again, I do believe that these two will create an energy around them and possibly bring British sprinting into this world field, the Olympic Games.
Well, no change at the moment at the bottom. Still Christoph Eigenmann hanging on by his fingertips, the same way that Steffi Böhler did in the women's qualification. And another little bit of fun for you, we used a little slogan that Andrew Newell has: I'm from Vermont, so I do what I want. So if any of you have got any little, shall we say, motivational slogans, how you believe you should live your life and meet your challenges, then send those in to us on the Eurosport forum, Eurosport.com, our website, available to you, of course, 24 hours a day.
I'm still expecting great things from Shane Zhang out here, number 78. He's still to come in. His brother, sadly, was 14 seconds behind. But I think out of the remaining athletes left, it's only Zhang who's got the chance to place himself top 30.
And it's looking pretty settled now, I have to say, Mike, the table. And Eigenmann may well just last it out. Now that's a bit of a surprise to me, because Eigenmann's been right to the fore in the world of sprinting. So to see him struggling to qualify, but of course it's very different once you're in the semi-finals, because tactics and track craft come into play.
Huge amount, and self-belief. You've got to have a huge amount of spatial awareness and self-belief when you're, as I say, you're starting out with 5 other athletes left and right of you. You've got to have absolute confidence, and I think that's where Tor Arne Hetland is the best, one of the best. He can handle that situation.
Now the other talking point is leaving something in your legs for the last 250.
Yeah, it's a tough ask, because you've got to be fighting for your position all the time, and it's very difficult to leave anything in your legs. But it's those who have, in training, replicated this, as you were saying earlier. When you've done this many times, you know how to cope with the discomfort levels that you get here at this point.
Well, I thought it was very significant that Björn Lind, here's Malouins,
biathlete for over many years. In fact, I think he's been top 6 at the Olympic Games in Nagano 98. It's looking good. Oh, not good enough from our Luhans. He's been retired a couple of years, just decided to make a comeback for this Olympics. He'll be disappointed. I've seen him snap his ski poles over his legs with disappointment before. Come on, Zhang, can you get through? Oh, not good enough.
But the taste, the education will count for the future.
Indeed, And the Chinese team, I mentioned the Belarus not having a huge technical backup. The Chinese have such limited knowledge of ski preparation, and only now recently they've employed one man to assist, one Norwegian to assist with his expertise, and it has made a huge difference to the Chinese team.
Well, after the Olympics are over, the World Cup, of course, continues, and in the World Cup of cross-country, there's a stop in Changchun in China for the first time of World Cup racing going to China. And if they turn out in their, as I'm sure they will, in their thousands literally, then who knows who might be inspired. Getting towards the end of the run here. And this is the Indian Bahadur Gupta who crosses the line. Respectable, given that this man trains alone.
Yes, absolutely, and he doesn't have the contact with all the teams. You need contact. You need to be talking to other athletes, other coaches to get ideas. So he did well there, Gupta.
And I can tell you that Eigenmann of Switzerland has survived in 30th place. He is the last to qualify in 2:20.46. And the man in picture there, Björn Lind, the fastest qualifier. And here is the rundown. A man with the Vermont slogan, second fastest, so he can't only talk the talk, he can run the run as well. Kjellstad, this promising Norwegian, maybe it will be their day, in third place. Rotchev, the Russian rocket, in fourth. Zorro for Italy, right there. Ersberg ahead of the tall, big, bruisey Iversen. Peter Larsen, well, he's got to be careful not to muscle people around today. Ronnie Darrigan represents France. Passini for Italy, and then Viggo Hagestad, another good, young, promising Norwegian. Yuichi Onda, La Bomba, as he's nicknamed himself, for Japan. Then Schweenbacher in 17th place. Will it be a better day for him? The 2003 Sprint World Champion, Toby Fredriksson, in 19th place. Kukal, who in 2003 won the 50,000 meters freestyle, but is still a man to be respected around the sprint trails. And there you could see Puikkonen, the second of the Finns, squeezing in. Aliapov and Novikov. Fafalis of Greece, fantastic that he's made it into the final, and Eigenmann, the last to qualify. What about Fafalis?
I'm sitting here in amazement, David. That is unbelievable. Total respect there. Number 29 or 29th position. Fafalis at the Olympic Games to finish 29th is respect from all the coaches. And well, who knows how much further he can take this. He looked good. He looked fast and dynamic. Maybe he could qualify through to one of the next rounds.
Well, that really is absolutely splendid, and I must say that you can see the men who are now really disappointed. They'll have a look. There's Paul Murray, born in South Africa, and represents Australia, but actually is a member of the Birkebeiner Ski Club in Norway. So all sorts of international connections there.
Oliver Kras, 57th, 14 seconds behind. It's not bad skiing, but at the Olympic Games, let's just have a look. You need to be, well, within 7 seconds, 6.8 seconds in fact, 6.93 seconds off Björn Lind's time, and he separated. He was ahead by 1.23, so you have to be that good to make the top 30.
Well, that's the time trial qualification, and as it was for the women, so it is for the men. Those 30 fastest men will be now, according to the times they posted, divided into 5 quarterfinals, 6 men in each quarterfinal. From those quarterfinals, the fastest 2 will go through to the semi-finals, so there'll be 2 semi-finals, 5 races in each, and then the fastest 2 from each semi-final will go through to the Olympic final, where 4 men will have a chance to go for gold, and the title won 4 years ago by Toani Hetland. So Julia Chapalova, the women's champion of 4 years ago, Hetland, the men's champion, they're both involved, and I hope that you will come back in just about an hour from now to join Mike Dixon and myself, David Goldstrom, for the sprint quarters, semis and finals.